This is Building 17. It's located in the middle of Cleveland, Ohio. There are 35 communities just like it, and it's been 3 weeks since the doors were sealed shut.
Our film is Unit 17, Week 3. It is a short animated film about a dystopian future where the world is running out of resources. And it is the story of one woman whose job is to watch everything and make sure that no one steps out of line.
Well, thank you both for coming here today, and thank you for submitting your film. Let's talk a little bit about the film first before we jump in about who you are and your background. So this is animated, cut paper,
Mm-hmm.
and you both directed this, Teresa and David. And one of the things I've read in your summary of materials that you sent me is that it was done virtual. The directing was
Yes.
done virtually. So
Mhm.
what I know of animation is there has to be someone primarily using the equipment and moving things around. How did you work out the directing chores with that? Did you go over footage and go, let's change that a little bit? Or did you generally storyboard everything, kind of knew what you were doing in terms of what's going to happen in each shot?
Well, like we because we made this for the 48-hour film fest. So there were like specific parameters that we had to work with. And once we got those, we kind of all zoomed, you, me, and Chuck. Is that
Mhm.
Chuck? Yeah.
Yep, our recording engineer.
Um, and we kind of broke down, well, how would we want to use these elements? Kind of came up with different visuals, kind of decided like how we could weave in the idea of a safety inspector, which was our character. Our prop was uncooked spaghetti.
Worst prop.
Um,
The worst prop.
and our line was,
The person over
oh,
there is up to something.
person over there is up to something. So we kind of like put together with our genre, which I believe was if
Enhanced
enhanced
human?
enhanced human. Um, and so we kind of just it started spitballing ideas that turned into a general story. And from there, the direction division was fairly down the middle of David working with the other people involved in the project and me animating
Oh,
it.
okay.
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
So I,
anime.
yeah, so I did all of the photography and the moving of the pieces and the editing it together. And David was directing the actual actors, being in charge of
And
the.
Because
Yeah,
yeah,
you could probably go over the long list of things that you did.
the cheap and dirty version of how we break, because we do a lot of 48 and 77-hour films. This one was actually for the 4 points. We had 77 hours.
Oh,
This was
yeah,
a
that's
long
right. I'm
time film.
sorry.
Um, so we spitball and then I write, and from that point, Teresa's in charge of everything you see. I'm in charge of everything you hear. That's essentially the division of labor. I don't do it myself. We had an actor, we had a recording engineer, but then I'm sound designing, I'm writing music, and we just keep sending stuff back and forth and desperately trying to finish before the deadline.
Yeah.
one of the things I've noticed when I was watching it, it is animated, but some of the pieces aren't necessarily, when they move on the frame, aren't necessarily animated. They're kind of like practical pieces you're moving on the frame yourself, mixing with animation. Is that correct?
Well, I guess that depends on what you define as animation. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm taking individual photographs and juxtaposing them next to each other in a short enough time frame that it creates the illusion of movement. And
Okay.
I've layered other things on top of it
Like
to
moving
kind of make
cardboard pieces and such.
right. So some of the pieces are like kind of stop motion collage as you might say. And some of them are me drawing with water
Mhm.
and filming the evaporation of the water and using that to change the image slightly.
Yeah,
So
it's a
we,
collage of different techniques.
yeah. And then it's like I took a bunch of pictures of just light through a glass with water in it and use that as like a layer to make the sort of rain effect and things like that. So it's definitely a combination of different techniques to, try to hide some of the seams in that we did it in 77 hours.
One of the things I've noticed is that you you've sent a couple of films our way. There was
Mhm.
another animation piece too. Is that what you both primarily work in? Because I know, David, you sent a live action piece, but there was another piece that was also animated. Is that what
Mhm.
your primary tech, genre
That
is?
is that is primarily what we do when we're collaborating at this point. We've worked together in a variety of ways over the years. And during lockdown, we ended up doing kind of a stop motion collage and a claymation 48. Those were our first ones. And then I was kind of feeling like I might be done. And Teresa reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have a new animation technique. Do you want to do a 48-hour film project?" And I said, "Wow, I don't know if I want to do that. Let me think about it." And the next day I sent her that I'd already entered us. And we've just been experimenting. And every time Teresa's trying new animation techniques, I'm bringing in new audio techniques. And we're actually working on one now that is not done in 2 days, which is kind of a wonderful change of pace.
Yeah.
So let me go into your background here. You both started in theater, according to the bio. Is that correct? Both started in theater, or did you do filmmaking before, then moved into theater and just found each other?
Well, when you say like we both started in theater, I mean, I don't think I've been an actor on anything officially since I was in high school, but David and I actually met when I was in a youth theater. And I mean, you were part of it too, but
Mhm.
um
Yeah, I was playing in the Pit Orchestra. So we met originally through the Majeska Youth Theater Company when she was on stage and I was playing bass in the Pit Orchestra, and we remained friends over the years. And both of us had done a lot of writing at that point. I was a big fan of Teresa's writing, still am. And I had a weird idea and pitched it to her, and she said yes. And we took Romeo and Juliet and we gender flipped it and rewrote it so it's set in a matriarchal society where men are second-class citizens used to serve and to procreate. So Juliet's great shame isn't just loving an enemy, but loving a man. So that was kind of our kickoff, and then remained friends. We did one other script together, and then kind of bounced around, circling around each other, and then just a couple years ago, the orbits collided, and it's been pretty great ever since.
I think I saw a lot of press about that Romeo and Juliet gender swap thing when it came out.
Mhm.
How long ago did that come out?
Oh, what was that like? It was a while ago,
like
2012, 2011.
2013.
Was it at the Alchemist or?
Yes, it
Hmm.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was at the Alchemist.
yeah. I knew the person that ran that place, and I saw a lot of advertising around that time of it. I
Mhm.
remember. So,
Cool.
you mentioned that this was like a 48 project. Do you
Mhm.
guys primarily work in 48 film, or do you want to do like a longer form?
I think our plan is very much to expand and keep trying new things and to do longer ones. Part of the reason we keep doing the 48s and the 4 point, which is the 77 hour, is to try new things, to force creativity. Um, because when you have a deadline, you finish a thing. I have admittedly not always been great at finishing things. I am guilty
Same.
of that. Yeah. So we're definitely doing longer things. We're on a 10.5 minute project now, and we've started kind of gathering ideas, pitching to each other for a longer format. We would like to do something more of a feature length. We just aren't sure what yet. We have, between the two of us, probably a good half dozen ideas that we're looking at. So
Yeah.
it's slow progress, but God, is it fun?
What are you working on next?
Currently we're doing an adaptation of The Raven that we're hoping to, if not this year, next year, to get it kind of out there. Um, it's been my favorite poem since I was in fourth grade, and I've always wanted to kind of do my own version of it, and so getting to animate it with my sort of signature style. It's been a really cool experience. And again, we've been talking about a lot of other longer form projects. We both work in a few different mediums. So I know David was has been working on music and might be a music video in the future.
Hmm.
Um, might be some, I don't know.
Yeah, like the opportunities and options are endless. One nice thing about doing a longer form is Teresa is not stuck trying to animate in 2 days. So maybe we can write together again. I don't know. It's possible. It'd be great because again, Teresa's one of my favorite writers, and she doesn't get to do that with the 48s. And so it'd be nice to get back into that.
Thank you for doing this today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.